He stood
I
on
want to thank
stage
this
with his
incredible woman
mistress,
right. I want to
thanking
thank
her
this
for building
incredible
his
woman.
empire.
I want to thank
His
this
wife was
incredible
sitting
woman.
in the back of
I
the
want to
room,
thank this incredible
calm,
woman.
silent,
I want to thank
because
this
the
incredible
empire he
woman.
was celebrating was still legally hers. And by the end of the week, everyone in that ballroom would know it. She signed the papers without reading them. He didn't notice her smile. It wasn't anger that made her hand so steady. It was something colder than that. Something that had been building for months, maybe years, in the spaces between his late nights and her silence. He thought she didn't know. She knew everything. But knowing and doing are two different things. And what she was about to do would cost him more than he ever imagined losing. That was the moment everything began to unravel. This is a golden heart story for anyone who's ever been underestimated by the person who should have known better. Before we continue, tell me in the comments, have you ever let someone think they were winning, just so you could see how far they'd go? She woke up at 5:47 a.m. every day. Not because she wanted to, because silence was easier before he woke up. The coffee brewed itself. The house stayed cool and clean. She moved through the rooms like a woman who had memorized her own absence. 52 years old, black, brilliant, invisible. At least, that's what he'd decided. She used to correct him when he got things wrong. About her work, about the kids, about which bills were automated and which weren't. But somewhere along the line she'd stopped. Not because she forgave him, because she realized he didn't actually want to know. Her reflection in the kitchen window looked tired. Not old, just tired of performing. She didn't recognize the woman staring back anymore. He woke up smiling. That should have been the first clue. 56, confident, comfortable. The kind of man who believed his own press releases. He owned a commercial real estate firm that had quadrupled in value over the last decade. Everyone knew his name. Everyone thought he built it. And he let them think that. Because it was easier than explaining that the systems, the client relationships, the operational backbone that actually ran the business, all of it came from Vivian. She'd been his partner once, in every sense. Now she was just there. He didn't notice when she stopped asking about his day. Didn't notice when she started sleeping on her side of the bed with her back turned. He was too busy noticing someone else. The routine. Vivian set his coffee on the counter. He didn't say thank you. He scrolled through his phone, laughing softly at something she couldn't see. Long day today, he said without looking up. Dinner meeting. Don't wait up. She nodded. He still didn't look at her. It had been like this for 8 months. But Vivian had stopped counting at 6. What he didn't know was that she had started counting something else. Bank transfers, email threads. Nights, he said he was working late but wasn't at the office. She wasn't angry yet. She was just collecting. It happened on a Wednesday. Vivian was in the garage pulling old tax files when she found the folder. It wasn't hidden. That's what stunned her. It was just sitting there, in a box marked 2019 financials. Inside printed emails, contracts, signatures she recognized, and photographs. Her breath caught. Not because of what the photos showed. Because of who? A white woman, younger, blonde, smiling in ways Vivian hadn't smiled in years. But it wasn't just the affair. It was the paperwork underneath. Partnership agreements, equity transfers, legal documents assigning her intellectual property. The client acquisition model Vivian had designed. To someone named Ashley Carver. Dated for months ago. Vivian sat on the concrete floor, hands shaking. He hadn't just cheated. He'd erased her. She didn't cry. She stood up, put the folder back exactly where she found it, and walked into the house. Richard was in the living room, tie loose, shoes off. Hey, he said, grab me a beer. She looked at him for a long moment. Then she smiled. Sure. What Richard didn't know, what no one knew, was that Vivian wasn't just his wife. She was the silent architect of everything he owned. The real estate models that made him millions, hers. The algorithm that predicted market spikes in underdeveloped districts, hers. The relationship with the mayor's office that fast-tracked their most profitable rezoning deal, also hers. But she'd never put her name on any of it. Because 20 years ago, when they were building the company from nothing, Richard told her it would be better for optics if he was the face. People trust men in this industry, he'd said. Especially white men, you know how it is. And she did. So she let him take the credit. She told herself it didn't matter. That they were a team. That marriage meant shared success. But now, sitting alone in her kitchen, staring at the documents that gave everything she built to a woman she'd never met, Vivian realized she'd been playing a game she was never supposed to win. She opened her laptop, typed in a password Richard didn't know she had, and accessed the company's core operating files. Every contract, every investor agreement, every embedded system she'd coded herself. She didn't delete anything. Not yet. She just smiled. Over the next 2 weeks, Vivian became the perfect wife again. She cooked his favorite meals, laughed at his jokes, asked about his day. Richard noticed. You seem lighter, he said one night, genuinely surprised. I've been thinking, Vivian said carefully. Maybe I've been too hard on you. On us. He reached for her hand. She let him. I want to do better, she continued. I want to support you more. The business, your goals. Richard's face softened. That means a lot, Viv, really. She nodded and began asking questions. How's the new partnership working out? The one with Ashley? He stiffened slightly, then relaxed. Good, yeah, she's sharp, bringing in a younger demographic. That's smart, Vivian said. You always knew how to pick the right people. He smiled. Didn't notice the way her jaw tightened. She started attending company events again, shaking hands, smiling in photos. Ashley was always there. Young, polished, confident in a way that came easy when you'd never been doubted. At an investor dinner, Ashley placed her hand on Richard's shoulder while talking to a client. Vivian watched. Ashley caught her eye, smiled. Vivian smiled back. She's lovely, Vivian said to Richard later in the car. He looked relieved. I'm glad you think so. She reminds me of someone, Vivian added. Who? Vivian looked out the window. Me. Before I learn it to disappear. Richard didn't respond. He didn't understand. But beneath the warmth, Vivian was moving. She opened a separate business account, transferred seed capital from a consulting contract she had negotiated years ago under an LLC Richard had forgotten existed. She contacted 3 of their oldest clients, the ones who remembered when she was the one solving their problems. She didn't ask for anything. She just reminded them she was still here. One night, Richard came home late. Again. His collar was wrinkled, his smile too easy. Good meeting? Vivian asked. Great, he said. We're about to close the Maple District deal. Biggest one yet. Vivian nodded. She'd written the proposal for Maple District herself. 2 years ago. Richard had no idea the contract was still in her name, buried in subsidiary paperwork he'd never bothered to read. I'm proud of you, she said. He kissed her forehead. She felt nothing. It happened at the annual company gala. Black tie, open bar, 200 guests. Richard stood on stage, arm around Ashley, announcing the newly restructured leadership team. Ashley Carver, our new Chief Strategy Officer, has been instrumental in our growth this year. Her vision, her energy, honestly. I don't know where we'd be without her. Applause. Vivian sat at a table in the back, champagne untouched. Ashley waved, glowing. Richard didn't look at Vivian once. After the speeches, a board member approached her. "Vivian, good to see you. We don't see you much anymore." "I've been busy," she said evenly. Well, Richard's lucky to have someone like Ashley stepping up. Real firecracker. Vivian's smile didn't falter. She's very good at taking what's given to her. The board member laughed, missing the edge. Later in the bathroom, Vivian overheard two women talking. "I mean, everyone knows, right?" "Obviously. But his wife's here. That's bold. She probably doesn't care. Women like that, they stay for the money." Vivian stood in the stall, hands pressed flat against the walls. She didn't cry. She didn't scream. She just breathed. And when she walked out, her face was stone. That night, Richard came home drunk, happy. "Best night of my life," he slurred. Vivian helped him to bed, tucked him in, kissed his forehead the way she used to when he was someone she loved. "Sleep well," she whispered. Then she went downstairs, opened her laptop, and began to dismantle everything. Vivian sat alone in the dark. The documents were ready, the legal filings queued, the offshore accounts repositioned. All she had to do was press send. But her finger hovered, because this wasn't just about revenge. It was about identity. If she did this, there was no going back. No reconciliation. No pretending. She would be the woman who took everything. And she didn't know if that woman was someone she wanted to become. She thought about her daughter. 28, successful, strong. What would she say? She thought about her mother, gone now. But her voice still clear. "Baby, don't let anybody make you small, not even yourself." Vivian closed her eyes, took a breath, and clicked send. If this story reminds you of someone you lost, or almost lost, share it with them. The unraveling happened fast. Within 48 hours, the Maple District deal, valued at $18 million, was pulled from Richard's firm. Because Vivian, as the original contract holder through her LLC, had quietly transferred rights to a competing firm she'd partnered with in secret. Richard called her, frantic. "What the hell is happening?" Maple District just walked. They said the contract wasn't ours." "It wasn't," Vivian said calmly. "It was mine." Silence. "What?" "The proposal, the client relationship, the zoning contact. All mine, always was." "Vivian, I'm not done." Over the next week, 3 more major clients quietly severed ties with Richard's firm. Not because Vivian bad-mouthed him, because she simply reminded them who had actually solved their problems. The board called an emergency meeting. Ashley tried to stabilize things. But without Vivian's systems, the operational model started to fail. Investor confidence dropped. Stock value plummeted. Richard showed up at the house. Vivian was packing. "You're destroying me," he said, voice breaking. She turned to face him. "No," she said quietly. "I'm taking back what you stole." "I never stole from you. We built this together." "Did we?" Her voice was ice. "Because I don't remember you mentioning my name. Not once. Not at a single board meeting. Not in a single interview." "That's not fair." "You gave her my work, Richard. You signed documents putting my intellectual property in her name. You erased me." He opened his mouth and closed it. "I loved you," Vivian continued. "I gave you everything. And you didn't just cheat. You made me invisible." "I'm sorry," he whispered. She believed him. But it didn't matter anymore. "I am too," she said, and walked out. 6 months later, Vivian launched her own firm. Smaller, selective, hers. 3 of Richard's former clients became her first accounts. Ashley left the company quietly. The firm restructured, Richard sold his shares at a loss. Vivian didn't gloat. She just exhaled. For the first time in years, she looked in the mirror and recognized herself. Not younger. Not perfect. But whole. Thank you for spending this time with Golden Heart Stories. If this story moved you, like and subscribe. Your support helps us keep telling stories that matter. What part of this story stayed with you the most?